The irony. Hi, my name is Ali Schwag, and welcome to 10 Points to Ponder, where we like to talk about all the things that get you canceled. Today, I want to talk about the consequences when the scales of justice are tipped or we end up violating nature's laws of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In this case, because of our progressivism, we have actually created regressive policies. And in the case of vaccine mandates, we're actually bringing back Jim Crow. So in order to understand this, let's take a trip down memory lane. Backwards to March of 2020 when we were all locked down. Then George Floyd died in May of 2020. And all of a sudden, we decided that this lockdown and this pandemic wasn't so scary and that racial justice issues were far more harmful than the issues of coronavirus. So it was popular and okay for people now all of a sudden to gather in mass in our cities, shooting, looting, burning, destroying. And all of it was popularized by news media. BLM capitalized on the chaos to promote their Marxist agenda. Violence in our streets and a war on police occurred in the very neighborhoods where Black lives were in danger from gangs and street violence. What this meant is that the very people that were supposed to be helped by these protests, right? They were shouting Black Lives Matter. Actually, because of the defunding of police, ended up being the ones that received the most harm in the wake of these protests. And the proof is in the pudding. A year later, we see a bloodbath that is ongoing in our cities. This 4th of July in Chicago, 108 people were shot. Just the weekend of August 6th, 2021, another 71 people were shot. And this is how you prove that Black Lives Matter, by not investigating those murders, by not snitching on the people that shot them, by simply allowing this to go on. Because when you really look at liberalism and progressivism, this idea of defunding the police, all it is racism, because white liberals believe that because of historical factors, Black people are just going to do that. Therefore, it's racist to try to give anyone a measure of justice when their cousin or their family member gets shot. And so they just sweep it under the rug and act like it's a fact of life that we have people killed, murdered in our streets day after day with nothing being done. Okay, we know that the protests and lawlessness have been disproportionately harmful to Black people. So that's one example of the irony of progressive policies. Now, since the protests are dying down, we've got another idea, another great idea, where COVID is now a problem again. And instead of masks, it's called a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Therefore, tyranny has risen up, and tyrannical leaders are now wanting to mandate vaccines in workplaces, military, and in the government. In New York, DeBlasio has announced that most indoor events will be closed to people who cannot prove that they have had the vaccine. And that becomes effective August 18th. But the problem with that is that DeBlasio obviously hasn't looked into his own numbers to find that the distribution of the unvaccinated is disproportionately Black people and Hispanic people who will be affected by the mandates. And so now Black people and Hispanic people will be unable to enjoy going to gyms, going to cafes, going to any indoor public space. You might as well have put a sign on those places that said whites only. It's the exact same effect. So here we have another anti-freedom policy by the left that harms the people that it's purported to help. And to add to the irony, the same people that are now mandating a vaccine passport are the same people that have no problem with showing up to vote without any sort of ID and say if you request any proof of your identity in order to vote, then that's Jim Crow. So they're creating Jim Crow based on this vaccine passport, and they're saying that if you ask for voting ID, you're Jim Crow. Leftists often speak of issues of equality and access, but in practice, their policies always seem to promote chaos, violence, and government-sanctioned racial segregation. Those are my thoughts. What do you think? Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. My name is Ali Shuaga, and this has been 10 Points to Ponder.